Hey, it's Daryl, and today I'm in a 2019 Volkswagen e-Golf. So this is the 2019 model. There are some previous versions of this car that are a little bit different, and I think there's also a plug-in hybrid version, but this is a purely electric, and I think it has, from memory, about a 35 kilowatt hour battery, so a bit more than the 2016-2017 Nissan Leaf. So a very good commuter car, or also a car appropriate for taking road trips to some extent. Charging network in New Zealand would support road trips in this car pretty conveniently. In my driving test today, I'm going to drive 100 kilometres, 50 kilometres to Wellington City and 50 kilometres back, maybe some errands and running around. I've charged the battery to 80% to get an idea of the range that it will go. So I'll turn the camera around and show you the instruments. So here's the main instruments. The blue gauge on the left is the battery, and you can see I'm at 80%. There's an efficiency gauge in the middle of the speedo. It's expecting 170 kilometres available on 80% range, and this car has some advanced driver safety features. We'll just do a test of how well can my cell phone record audio while we're driving the car. This is driving at 100 kilometers per hour. So driving at 100 kilometers per hour here on a pretty nicely smooth motorway. The odd little bump like now. Car's really smooth. It has sort of semi-automated steering, so the car tries to centre you in the lane, and it has blind spot indicators, and little blind spot warnings come up in the centre dash. So I need to park on the side of the motorway. Everything's pretty good. The car's nice and smooth and quiet at 100 kilometers per hour. Yeah, overall the driving experience is really good in this car, nice and smooth. I've driven this car a couple of 100 kilometers before. So it's nice. Almost at my destination. Mostly been motorway driving today, just state highway into Wellington City. So this is the back seat, and the back seats have a centre armrest that folds down and a little hatch that you can put your skis or any other long objects that you might buy through the car. And so you can sit 5 people in the vehicle. There's a centre diagonal safety bar. There's not a huge amount of leg space, but you know, it's pretty comfortable for a relatively small car. Parcel tray in the back there, or divider shelf. The doors have a nice sort of satin inlay finish where the door handle is there, and electric windows. I guess the speakers down there, and there's a storage space on the side there. Oh look, there's a CD player. I've been looking for a CD player. There's memory card slots in there, and I don't know, is that some kind of road taxing device? I'm not sure. In the glove box, some other slots there. I don't know what they are. So it's the glove box. That's good. I'm going to try out the CD player. I like these controls because you can control both sides separately. That's very good. There's the range automatic ranging cruise control, so you can set your following distance to the vehicle in front of you. A couple of times I got very close to a car in front, there was one car that chopped lane short, and I got the emergency braking warning comes up, and beeper to tell you that you've got an imminent situation, so that's quite good. What else is in there? Yeah, there's lane keeping assist, so if you're not paying attention while you're driving and you've got cruise control and running in the right mode, the car will keep you in the lane, stop you drifting out of your lane. And there's nice stitching, nice blue stitching on the steering wheel there. Quite like that, and kind of like a nice, I don't know, leather feel steering wheel. It's Volkswagen, and all the quality of the interior is really good. There's a cup holder with the cover in there. I guess there's a little tray you can put coins in, that kind of thing. Storage cubby and the armrest. I suppose you could fit a can of fizzy drink in there, maybe some other stuff. Not really sure what you put in there. Wallet and keys, I guess. Hazard lights. I'll have a look in the back. Here's a little thing that I haven't noticed before. So if you move your finger towards the screen, it actually detects that your hand is present and shows the buttons. Yeah, it's just an interesting idea. It does have a CD player, and the CD player works. Okay, so I'm about 6 foot tall. I don't remember how many centimeters that is, 187 maybe. And so I've got some nice kind of space there to my knees. I mean, so I was sitting in the front seat, now I'm sitting in the back. That's okay. There's some little storage spaces in there. There's a ventilation output for the rear passengers. Got the same kind of satin inlay door. It looks like a speaker in the door. Reflector down there as well in the door. Yeah, it's pretty comfortable, quite nice. The seats are quite firm, slightly more firm than mine is Nissan Leaf. So here's a nice view of the driver's seating position, and the car kind of turns itself off if you get out of the driver's seat and leave the car unattended. And yeah, that's the front there. I think that's quite nice too. And up on the ceiling, let's see if we can get some contrast. There's an emergency SOS button and a phone, service button, and some light switches and things up there, I think. There's a light and a vanity mirror, I presume, in the visor. Side airbags, little coat hanger hook back here on both sides, coat hanger hook, and lights and light switches up on the ceiling for the rear passengers. Map lights, I guess they're called. In the center console there's this layout as well. Oh yeah, just various bits and pieces. Got a 12 volt outlet, auto hold, which is I think to do with this car. It brakes to a halt. When you halt at a traffic light, the car won't coast or roll forward. It doesn't creep. You've got your electric parking brake, some kind of driving mode button, shifter, and dual zone climate control, infotainment center, vents, and soft plastic dash. And just over on the other side of the steering wheel, got your vent and your light control and wing mirror control, and got your buttons for the window operation. Now it's a bit windy, so I hope that's not too bad. So it's got that, you lift up the logo, you've got a couple of restraint hanger hooks there. You've got a 12 volt power outlet in the boot as well. Got some cargo hook tie down things, and have your charging cable should be in there. That looks like a tyre filling repair kit, so no spare tyre, just a filler. And here's a standard charging cable. Could be different in different markets. And it's the hatch where you put your skis through. You want to carry large objects in the back. There you go, there's the centre part turned down. That gives you access into the boot of the car. And there's harness restraint, child seat restraint connectors on both sides in the rear. I like the upholstery. Upholstery is just really conservative, kind of shades of dark grey. It feels like a nylon-y kind of fabric. It seems real durable, and the headrests as well. Centre headrest for the rear passenger. So another compartment I didn't look in before. There's like an audio input and a USB and a little cubby behind the gear selector. So that's for plugging in your audio devices or phone. So when you shift into drive, you'll get this display, and when you move the steering wheel, it shows you where you're going to go. Now I presume that there might be a version with surround video that will show you if you're going to run into obstacles with that top-down view. And these shapes are for the parking sensors, so if you get close to an object, I think these segments light up. And then another thing, if you've never driven electric cars before, they have D mode and B mode, and D mode is regular drive and B mode is extra engine braking. So what this does is when you take your foot off the accelerator, the car slows down a lot in B mode to regenerate power. I use that when you're driving down a steep hill or in some sorts of start-stop traffic where you want the car to slow down every time you take your foot off the accelerator. That's a concept known as one pedal driving, where you don't really use the brake pedal at all. In some cars, BMW i3, this car might support it as well, but I'm not certain. You can take your foot off the accelerator and the car will just slow down and come to a complete halt. You don't ever actually have to use the brakes at all. The advantage of this is that you get electric braking. The advantage of using B mode is that you get electric braking, which puts power back into the battery and you will regenerate a bit of power. But if you use it when driving on relatively flat roads, it doesn't actually give you an economic advantage, because what happens is every time you put your foot on and off the accelerator, it slows you down. So instead of the car coasting, which is more efficient to maintain your speed, it slows you down. But if you're in start-stop traffic, it's better, and if you're going down steep hills, it's often better to use the B mode as well. Oh, it looks like the range seems pretty good. So I've driven 91 kilometers so far and still had 60 k's to go, and that was from 80%. So 150 k's on 80%. I think that when I've driven this car before, it got more than 200 kilometers on a full charge. So you'd better take road trips and probably charge every 150 to 160, maybe 170 kilometers. So you can, do a good job of driving pretty reasonably long distances without having to stop too often to recharge. Got actively cooled battery, I understand. The other one is that fast charging. I did a fast charge and it was doing 40 something kilowatts near 80%, which means that like a lot of other electric cars with slightly smaller batteries, the fast chargers are limited by the size of the battery, and that applies to this car. So this kind of car, I think the charging profile is at very low battery levels. The charging is a little slow and it speeds up to about 50% full, and then from say maybe 60 or 70% it starts slowing down again. So this is the kind of car that you want to use 80% charging if you're doing a lot of fast charges. Otherwise you just stay connected to the charger for a long amount of time and it charges the battery very slow once you're past 80%. Might be okay up to say 90%, but that's just something that people have to be aware of. When you charge electric cars, generally you limit your charge to 80% on each fast charge so that the charging is fast, because it's better to do a few quicker charges than it is to do say to do 3 fast charges rather than 2 slower charges. Yeah, it's just a technique for charging electric cars when you're taking road trips. If you buy a car with a 60 kilowatt hour battery, very large battery, or even larger, some cars come up to 100 kilowatt hours at the moment, those cars fast charge all the way through right up to 90%, because the battery is so large that it can keep pouring the power into it while you're connected to a fast charger. So definitely is worthwhile considering if you want to take frequent long distance road trips. Buy a car with a bigger battery, 60 kilowatt or larger is my recommendation. If you're mostly just driving your daily commuting and keeping below 100 or 150 kilometers on any given day, then this medium-sized car with a medium-sized battery is totally convenient. And if you're driving very short distances on a daily basis, say less than 100 kilometers, then just buy any kind of electric car, and you're just using it for your daily range. So fast charging doesn't really matter that much. You only use it occasionally just to get the car from one place to another, or if you unexpectedly drive out of town, then you'll use fast charging. My overall conclusion with this car is it's a really nice car. It does really well for daily driving long commutes and shorter commutes, and it's quite convenient to drive. You don't have to charge too often when going on longer journeys, so it's well suited for driving say up to 400 kilometers in a day, something like that. You could probably drive quite a lot of 400 kilometer days, and it would be pretty convenient because you wouldn't have to charge it too many times to cover that distance. It's similar to a Nissan Leaf 40 kilowatt hour battery in time and sort of charging distance per charge, that kind of thing. So Hyundai Ioniq or Nissan Leaf or Volkswagen e-Golf, kind of all in the similar class. Another outlier is the Renault Zoe. It's not as well fitted. The Renault Zoe seems like quite a budget car, and as far as I know, they only come with the kind of 3-phase charging. So Renault Zoes aren't even very good for taking on road trips, because in New Zealand and in Australia there wouldn't be enough chargers to charge that type of car. Whereas this car, or a 40 kilowatt Nissan Leaf, so the e-Golf or a 40 kilowatt Nissan Leaf, or a newer Hyundai or Kia with the slightly larger batteries, those would be good for New Zealand and Australia, because you can drive the distances required between the chargers to take a reasonable kind of a road trip. Okay, so I think I'm going to have a little bit of a drive and talk. So we'll just I think that the camera is hidden under the Volkswagen logo at the back of the car. So when I put the car in reverse, you get a little mechanical sound where it opens the camera cover. I think that's what's happening. I always find that there's a little mechanical sound in it. It's kind of little distracting. I've got a mirror and surround sensors. There's front and rear parking sensors, which is quite handy. I like that. The indicators are on the left hand side, because it's a European car, so it's always something different. That's always something different if you're and then the little mechanical thing, you hear it close again when you start moving forward. It's just a little weird. the car shows you a picture of a car and where it's tracking its curve as you steer. I wonder if there's a version of the car which has surround video like some of the Nissan Leafs have. I'm just going to drive on a motorway, and I'll drive up to 100 kilometers per hour if the traffic allows, just so you can hear what that sounds like. It's very quiet. I've got the air conditioning on a little bit because it's varying between warm and not so warm, but it's good. And we're just sort of getting near rush hour in the afternoon, so it's a bit hard getting in. I'm at a roundabout. I've got a Ford Ranger in front of me, New Zealand's most popular family car apparently. Alright, let's floor it. And there's 100 kilometers an hour, so it's pretty good. All electric cars are all nice and quiet, getting up to speed. I think this got a 100 kilowatt motor, so it's a little bit quicker than the Nissan Leafs up to 2017. The Nissan Leaf 2018 models have 125 kilowatt motor, and I think the E Plus one is even a bigger motor. So it feels quite quick. If you want a quick, fun city car, the BMW i3 is the one, because it's lightweight. It weighs a ton, and it has, I think it's 125 kilowatt motor, but it's so much lighter than a Nissan Leaf, so the acceleration's super zippy. So I'll just try and enable the cruise control. There we go. There's nice efficiency things. When you set the cruise control, there's little marker pegs on the speedometer. There's little markers on the speedometer, I don't know, whatever the word is, which show you what the intended speed is, and there's all sorts of efficiency things, charge and power consumption as well. So I'm just sitting on 99 kilometers per hour, and it's going slightly uphill on a chip seal road. It's not the smoothest road, but it's not a bad road either. So hopefully the audio is coming through okay. Otherwise I would have just spent a lot of time talking to myself. With the active cruise control, when you get close to another vehicle that you're following, if the vehicle in front of you slows down to a stop, like at traffic lights or a stop sign or something, then this car will slow down to a stop and then stop, but it will go into a ready mode where you have to press the accelerator, and if you just touch the accelerator, it will resume the cruise control program back to the speed that you desired if the traffic allows. And got to the end of a bit of highway where two lanes merge into one, and so then it goes into a 50k zone. So yeah, so the car nicely adjusts its speed to follow the speed of the vehicle in front of you. A lot of cars have that feature now, but yeah, it's nice. It's nice and quiet. I hear a kind of like a little bit of a whine sound, which I think might be just the kind of tyres this car has. So sometimes when you're choosing tyres, when you go to a tyre place and you have a discussion about what kind of tyres you want, you can tell the people that you want quiet tyres, and they'll sell you, in some cases, a tread pattern or a rubber composition that will make your driving a bit more quiet. I noticed that some cars I've driven a lot of different Nissan Leafs, and some cars sound a little different than others just depending on whether it has very I don't know, hard compound or soft compound tyres or tread patterns. There seems to be quite a lot of variations. There must be a dozen different Nissan Leaf type of tyres that you can get. This car has its main speed in miles per hour, which is a little odd. No, it's not odd. I mean, it's sort of like a car built for the British market. So it's just unusual to me because the actual speedo dial has miles per hour, and it just doesn't mean anything to me. Although the centre display is set to kilometres per hour, so you can get it adjusted. But I don't understand why the main dial isn't in kilometres per hour, because it's all of the display is just an electronic display. They could have made it any way they wanted. And the speedo goes up to 100 miles per hour, so it sounds like the kind of around that 160 kilometre per hour limit that a lot of cars in the New Zealand market seem to have. Yeah, it's just really pleasant. It's just a nice drive. All of the components of the car, you know, the handles are all in nice positions, the buttons are where you expect them to be, I could find the light switch. I haven't been able to work out how to show a battery percentage display. I don't know if you can. Some electric cars you can't, but it's the kilometres remaining seems quite consistent. It's not jumping around horrendously like some cars do. Other comfort features is this car has heated seats. I don't know if it's got heated seats in the back, but it's got heated seats in the front, and they've got a high, low and off position. And crank up my speed a bit more. Got out of the 50k zone. So going up to 80k now. Yeah, but like all electric cars, it's pleasantly quiet. I can hear a little bit of wind sound. It's pretty windy, gusty outside today, so that's pretty typical. The steering assist is quite interesting. It kind of gets oddly close to the lines. I'm a little uncomfortable with that, but it's a safety feature. It's not automated driving per se. It's a thing that if you happen to be distracted momentarily, it prevents you from driving off the road. So that's what you want in steering assist. It's for the. It's going to save you, 9 times out of 10 when you would have otherwise just driven off the road. So that's a bonus. And consumption. So for my driving today, I've been doing an average of tends to be around 6.6 kilowatt hour. How does it? No, I've been doing around 6.6 kilometers per kilowatt hour, which is really similar to Nissan Leaf in terms of power consumption. So cost-wise to drive your electricity that this car uses or a Nissan Leaf uses, it's about the same. I can occasionally get my Nissan Leaf up to high sevens, maybe 7.5, 7.7 kilometers per kilowatt hour if I'm driving pretty conservatively. A lot of the roads that I'm driving on, I was at 100 kilometers per hour on the uphill bit, but now I'm down on an 80 kilometer per hour section. So for a mixed commute, that sort of 6.5 kilometers per kilowatt hour. Probably if you're driving 100 kilometers per hour non-stop on motorways, you're probably going to get, I don't know, closer to 6 kilometers per kilowatt hour, something like that. kilowatt hours are the units on your power bill. So this car has, I think it's about a 35 kilowatt hour battery. So if I totally charge this car from completely flat to totally full at home, on my overnight power rate it's about 20 cents per kilowatt hour. So cost 10 kilowatt hours is going to be $2, and so about $6 or $7 for about 220 kilometers of driving. So pretty good. It's pretty. I'm driving past the ocean on the other side. You get to see the mountains, but this is a coastal road. Got the railway line there as well. Yeah, overall, I like this car. It's a comfortable car. So definitely, if you're into the European type cars, then this is a nice car. Has 100 kilowatts of power, so that's quite comfortable acceleration for the size of car. A little quicker than a Nissan Leaf, I think, accelerating for the Nissan Leaf's up to the 2017, so it's good enough for a daily car. Very comfortable for 4 people to sit in. You can cram 5 people in if you need to. But if you're going on a long drive, for 4 people, for a 100 kilometer drive would probably be pretty comfortable. Maybe 3 children in the back seat would work pretty comfortably. And there was sort of a reasonable amount of cargo space, but it didn't look as much cargo space wise as a Nissan Leaf. For a family car, Nissan Leaf is pretty good because the boot space is good, and for some types of car seats, I've seen people to be able to fit in booster seats or car seats for 3 children, which is important for family configuration. But as just a driving to work commuter car, this is a fantastic car. 2 people on a really big road trip, this would be good. You should be able to take a decent amount of luggage. And I think that's enough. So just by the gear lever, there's this mode button, and that selects Eco and Eco Plus driving modes. So let's see, I'm just going to see a picture of my shirt, but if we click that button, there we go, we get this normal, Eco and Eco Plus. And what these do is they give you a bit more range by curtailing some stuff. So if we look at the dash and click the different modes, Eco Plus Performance and something rather limited, so you can click through the Performance and Comfort restricted, Eco Plus Performance and Comfort severely restricted, so it turns off the heater and things like that if you get into the Eco Plus mode. And just another point was, so I'm down to 45 k's now after having gone 115 kilometers. I think we had 160 odd at 80%, so that seems very fair. So for a daily commute of 120 k's, you've got plenty of range left. And another thing is that it popped up a warning at 50 or 51 kilometers saying that the battery was starting to get low.